Hello everybody, Mesoteria here with a deep dive into version 3.0.37 of BeamNG Drive with release notes and everything. So this is going to be a deep dive, get us nitty gritty and into everything. So let's start by taking a look at what we have. Of course, we're taking a where is it? There was a whole title and I forgot the name of it, but it's a dive into luxury basically is the whole deal. So of course we got the Gavel Grand Marshal with the limousine now. So they have the coach built stretch limousine body, luxurious interior, fancy lights, bar, TV, all the good stuff, exterior styling. They got 5 different configurations. So they also added all of this stuff for parts here. That we could take a look at. So I have a few different things set up. Let's go ahead and start by taking a look here. Over on the other side, I got to make sure I switch so you guys can see it. There we go. And of course, this is the limousine. Absolutely beautiful. Looks pretty good. And if we go into free cam, which I'll make sure to set this down really nice and slow so we don't jump around and everything, we can kind of get a good view in here. Looking pretty good. We got some seats. We got the TV, which I know it might be a little bit hard to read on your screen or even see. This is like all pictures are all kind of jumbled around in different locations. And I went through here. We have up in the top left, number 1. Then we got number 5, number 6, 4, 9, 7, 8, 3, 2. So I went through this and Pigeon is 1, 2, and 3. And then number 4, SO, 5, LO, so solo. 6 is S, 7A, so SA. 8 is L, and 9 is L. So Pigeon solos all. I'm not quite sure what they mean, but you know, that could be a little tease. We can kind of see the leather detail and everything here in the seat looks pretty good. Everything's really nice. We got our drive shaft system right there. I mean, I guess maybe that is kind of the way some of them are, where it's kind of low in the spot, have a little hump. I'm not sure. I've only been in one limousine once. Fancy. So we have some other stuff set up over to the side. Let's kind of focus here though. So yeah, this is what we got. Pretty neat little deal. We also do have some UI improvements. We'll kind of go over that, but this is one thing that I see that kind of is nice. I like seeing this location. Why? That's the thing I gotta say is why. It was always up at the top right. I felt like that was all right. Now we got it down there. The flags here, they do move. Yeah, I've got a little bit strongness there, apparently, and it kind of does that. Thing I do note is that with the flags and the location kind of right there, they do kind of get bound up into the hood when we pull that open. Let's go ahead and do that real quick. Try not to spoil anything else that's coming up here, what we're taking a look at. But yeah, there we go. And they actually managed to get through this time. The first time I tried to open it, it kind of got stuck. Standard stuff for the engine. We do have some new textures, meshes, all that kind of good stuff. So let's go ahead, pop back on over to the details here of the patch notes. And as we kind of continue down, of course, we got all these goodies here. They reworked the front end and rear end deformation. I'm not sure if they mean overall or just with this limousine or how that exactly goes, but they did apparently do something. And they increased the angle for the rear doors, how far they open, basically. The Bruckle Legrand got some basic tiny touches. They adjusted the lift and drag properties of the wagon body, so it should be a little bit more realistic that way, right? They fixed the missing floor shifter animation with the police console. And the Burnside Special incorrectly displayed body style has been fixed. So some of the configurations were kind of saying, oh, it's a coupe, even though it was a sedan, kind of a thing like that. The Charrier FCV has gotten a good few bits. They fixed clipping on the rally lights of the Togrek hood. It was causing extreme shaking with some combinations of parts. Nothing I ever experienced, so thankfully it wasn't like a massive deal or anything like that. They added missing ambient occlusion maps to the EV and the ICE engine materials. So the internal combustion engine is what ICE stands for in this case. They fixed incorrect slot names on the DSE Comfort default mode. and improved textures for the headlights and taillights. So that's most likely going to the PVR. That's a big thing as a secondary. The bolide, they tweaked the handling of the 320 GTR Group 5 configuration, so probably should handle a little bit better. That's what I'd imagine. The I series, they added new engine models and materials here, so you got some new stuff to look at. We can kind of take a look through there. They don't suspension geometry and the underbody got all taken care of. Updated is what I should say. So let's hop back on over here. And that's what we got here. So we can see the underbody. We got ourselves a little heat shield. It does kind of feel and look almost like it's a plate of steel rather than an actual heat shield, but either way, I still think it's pretty good. We can actually see we got some resonators here in the exhaust too. Well, I don't know why the game decided to jump like that. It made me blink, to be honest. But yeah, so we got some resonators, stuff like that. We got our muffler, dual in, dual out, which is a very unique kind of taste to that. Typically, if you're going to have one muffler and you're a car manufacturer, you are going to have one in, one out. It's cheaper cost and everything like that. So as far as this looks, I mean, it's great, don't get me wrong, but I would think that it would be just one pipe, and that would be that, or a dual exhaust if there's two pipes, because now you're running all of this just to go back to one outlet. You can have the dual tips, single inlet. But that's enough of that. Let's go ahead, pop on my fog light here. Is it not? There we go, my flashlight for this. So we can kind of take a look in here and see. I really can't do much to push the hood out of the way anymore. Unless I go like that, use that because I'm in this mode. So here we got the ETK 612V. So it's a 12 valve, 6-cylinder kind of a thing. They've got the whole intake set up here, which is very nice. One thing I do want to note is if this is, say, a 3-inch intake, it's typically going to be something more like a 1-inch per each. There's going to usually be a larger size difference in these based on what I've seen through vehicles and stuff. Again, this comes back to primarily cost savings, which is twofold. One, of course, the company wants to save cost so that way they make more money, but also the lower car costs, the better, to an extent, of course, for the consumer. So, you know, you'd be more likely to spend $30,000 than $40,000 on a car, for example. So, I mean, there's some room for some improvements and stuff like that, but it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm much pleased with what we've got here. So, yeah, and then, of course, we got suspension geometry stuff and all that kind of going on here. You know, all kinds of goodies. You can actually see where we have our split right here. You guys can't see my mouse, but then, of course, shafts go up and down on both sides. That's a pretty good little detail. Let's go ahead and pop back over to the notes again and continue down. The MD series, they fixed an issue with the tanker upfit, caused the pipes to partially break off and spawning in, and incorrectly displayed body styles on some configurations has also been fixed. The Roamer had an issue with the nitrous oxide bottle, preventing the body from fully detaching, so now that should be fixed as well. The T-Series has the concrete mixer. They added a concrete load with adjustable volume and an auxiliary water tank capacity. So that's pretty good. A little bit of a realism touch there. I do like that. They also fixed missing differential lock switches on several configurations. Yeah, there was a lot of weirdness with the differential locks and stuff and how that was kind of going in 036. So definitely interesting there. The Ibishu BX series, they fixed an instability issue that occurred when combining tubular front frame, drift suspension, stock dashboard, and a manual shifter. So I'm guessing something within the beams and all that kind of stuff somewhere caused all kinds of weirdness to happen, but it's gone, so that's good. The Corvette got it fixed for the Gambler 500 variants where certain lights would break. I'm guessing for no reason. The Miramar here, if you guys ever want to take a look at the pictures and videos, go ahead and check out the patch notes yourself to get a nice deep dive in. But Miramar has new engine meshes and textures. So they rebuilt the engines from scratch. They added more performance options. I mean, it really feels like in here, this little short section that I have highlighted here is under rope. In a way, like it doesn't really go into detail about how much they actually did, what parts are available, things like that I feel like could be mentioned. Okay, and then we are over here And now let's go ahead and kind of dive through. I accidentally did not switch, so I'm just going to pretend that this is a first look. In a sense, I mean, I took a good look at it, but yeah, we could see here, I actually went and changed some parts to kind of dive in, so we could see our air box kind of a deal here is a little bit different. We got now a radiator? I'm confused. Wait a minute. Yeah, that's the radiator. Oh, that's the water pump. I was thinking it was the carburetor, but the water pump's over here. So yeah, that's fine. That's fine. But yeah, you can see like there's lots of good details. I was kind of being nitpicky. One that I noticed and we don't have on here, there's this little plug in the center of where the spark plugs go, right there as it clips out. I've got the camera speed set as low as I can. I think. No, it changed. Okay, there we go. So yeah, they're kind of plug in there. It had a PCV valve from one of the carburetors. So if that was to happen, it would be both carburetors. And secondly, it wouldn't be in the center where the spark plugs are. I am pretty sure it would be on the valve covers because you want the highest point in the motor so that way you have reduced oil splash, you know, and reduce stuff like that. But other than that and being nitpicky, I noticed the alternator is like a period correct for that kind of a deal. Here we can see we've got the turbochargers I put on here. Yes, because there's new parts. I had to little play with it. And I mean, this looks right. This really does look good. Like I said, like there is some nitpicking that I was doing and some things that maybe need to be changed, updated, fixed, corrected, whatever, in my opinion. But as it stands, it is very good. And I mean, I enjoy all the details. I definitely do. So here it looks like we've got some hose going and I'm trying to figure out. So that goes into here, which this hose then runs back here and over to the throttle. Okay, so that would be throttle control. But here's my thing. Got the metal. It comes over. It hits... Well, that's water. Oh, that's for the heater core. Okay, okay, that's really awesome. So they got a heater core deal. Here we have what I presume is... Yep. So this is our discharge... Or our discharge. Our, Gosh, I've gone through so many different parts that my brain is drawing a blank on the name here. But yeah, that's going to the spark plug. But the thing is there is no other wires. So we can see the two spots where you should have like a trigger and a power wire. And there's nothing there, but that's okay. I'm more than fine with that. We've got everything else. I mean, this looks amazing, to be honest. Even got here, this looks like this is our blow-off valve. I mean, that's pretty awesome. We got all the little bits in there. Pretty good, pretty good, pretty good. So now that I've gone through this a second time, let's go ahead, pop back on over here, and we can go through a few more things. They also adjusted the tachometer to better fit engine options and replace the voltmeter with a working water temp gauge. So, I mean, maybe the option to swap between them would have been better, in my opinion, but that's okay. They also fixed incorrect behavior of taillights. Now then, carrying forward, we got the Abishu Pessima, the 88, first gen, basically. The fixed an issue with the trunk spiking, so I guess in certain accidents that would happen. They fixed and improved various materials and textures and improved consistency across visuals. In the 96 second gen, the Pigeon, they fixed a slight floating of roof bar loads above the roof bars, so that should look more correct now. And they fixed an issue with the hood closing, which could cause it to remain open after repeated open-close cycles. So the latches kind of got confused, in a sense. And then the hood wouldn't close. The Lansdale, they fixed instability when combining a 1.2 liter with the range box, which ultimately led to oil starvation, but no longer occurs. The Wentworth DT40L, the big city bus, they converted the majority of the textures to PVR, so there should be improved visuals. Things shouldn't feel so flat. But lights and engine have not been updated yet because of constraints in development. That could mean anything. That could mean time, or maybe they were trying to work on another system for it, and that system's not ready, you know, anything like that. They did improve customizations. They decoupled the seat pattern from the main body livery, allowing it to be selected and customized separately. Probably some other stuff that's not mentioned, but it's not clear. They also fixed an issue with the rear license plates floating too far away from the rear panel, cleaned up ambient occlusion mapping to address issues with unnecessarily dark areas, like behind the license plate, even if it was removed. The Hirochi SBR4 has converted headlights and taillights to PBR, so that's going to be very nice. And PBR is a method that I remember from way back in Minecraft, which basically allowed the standard Minecraft textures to actually look 3D. So that's essentially what all this is doing with the PBR. I don't really play Minecraft anymore, but that was a long time ago, let me be honest. Now we get on to the big thing. They added brake glow to all the vehicles with disc brakes. That's pretty realistic. Now, I think drum brakes could also, because let's be honest, if it's metal, it should be able to get hot enough. I think the whole thing is, you know, where it's going to glow and all that. So with the brakes, you're not going to really see it too much. I mean, at nighttime, maybe with the like ambient occlusion and some dynamic lighting type of stuff, and you can get it to kind of work, but it's great having it with the discs. And let's go ahead, make sure this time I pop on back to BeamNG, and we are going to kind of take a look at that. So I should be able to close up everything here. We're going to hop on over to the ETK. Don't want to spoil too much. You might just notice, but that's weird. It just took me back here. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and insert. Kind of trying to... Okay, there we go. We're getting some squealing. So the brakes are starting to fade. There we go. Now we're starting to see it. And as soon as I let off, they started going back. But we can see them glowing now. That's pretty nice. Well, that always has been a mod, but now we actually have it present in-game as a feature. So that's a pretty good deal. Let's go ahead, cycle through, go back to daylight. Now that we've kind of gotten a preview into that, let's head back on over to the details here. And they converted most remaining vehicles and parts to PBR, which is kind of what we've gone through. So, yeah, the old format basically being, you know, the way that they used to have it, and different things like that that got changed. So engines, badges, wheels, hubcaps, power glow skins, aftermarket parts, and much more have been cleaned up. Materials and textures cleanup as well. They did a large-scale cleanup, fixes and improvements for all materials and textures to ensure that everything is set up properly for modern standards and to keep on top of technical debt. It's always a good deal there. They reworked the vehicle paint system. Now, before we pop in, there is going to be a section in here that I will talk through, but because of how this kind of works, I need to go through. So yes, this is what it looks like. And what I meant to show you guys was this guy. Got all of the multi-paints. And we can go back in here. We can see all of these. We can see some customs that we can choose. And if we go back to multi-paint, you'll have your default paint for the configuration is the way it looks right now. So there is that goodie. But yeah, I couldn't figure out the other little bits there. So let's pop back over to Chrome, the deal. Yes. They separated the paint classes as we've seen there. It implemented paint hierarchy logic. So paints and multi-paint setups from paint libraries are now available on every vehicle and every configuration as defined in the info.json for the vehicle. They added a random paint distribution system currently only implemented on simplified traffic vehicles. So that our simplified traffic vehicles should be a little bit better that way. They adjusted various early PBR materials to use less extreme values. So they should look better. Fixed issues with duplicated materials that could lead to errors. Fixed an issue with certain cargo boxes that could break half shafts, which we went through that already. They removed unnecessary enables APS false entries across JVM files through various vehicles. The inconsistent property of Derby class in the vehicle selector on several vehicles fixed position of common airbag steering wheel on Gavril trucks, fixed broken normals on the European license plates, which cause them to look split or bent in the middle. Now we get to go on towards props. This is a big one, okay? So we're going to start by popping over to the game. And we got the Miramar. We'll just go ahead and stick in this for the moment. We need to drive it. I did put in some tribbles and stuff. It also looks like some of my keybinds have not carried over, so that's what that whole thing was there. That's kind of the annoying thing is I even tried to transfer this stuff, and it doesn't always do that. So, for example, engine is supposed to be down right here, but now we have that with the camera going to the arrows, and I need to quickly fix that. So right here, look back, we do not need that. And I don't think there is any others here. Good. Back to gameplay. Go. So as far as props, we got here these guys. And it was a little bit hard to see. It's called tread trap. So these are tire spikes. And another thing they did is you also get tire punctures. Your tires don't just immediately go flat at the snap of a finger anymore with this. Now you can see those two tires are flat. It has taken a little while for them to fully deflate. And now they are flat. So if we go ahead and reset, we know that we got tire spikes. I've got some more set up in the front, but that is a lot. There are a lot of different tire spikes, to be honest, which is kind of nice because it allows a lot of different things. But we can see in here we got all different kinds. So we've got the kind selected here for where this is kind of like a throw out and it extends. This is 4 meters. You can get one that's 8 meters. They've also got the flex, which is remotely deployable. It can be activated once the suspect approaches. And we got the flex dual, which is, I'm guessing, going both sides. We've also got the edge R. And it automatically retracts as well. And we can see in here in the UI, which is unique and different because they did change it, the value actually shown right over on the bottom right of the image, just underneath there. You get filters and more and display options. We can also do like this. We can see weight and everything is still in there. You can change actually the colors of these as well. But yeah, these edge packs are more so for stopped and don't want them to continue to move, I believe. But yeah, there's all kinds of different spike strips. The other thing, and the reason why I am in free cam, is we got 2 other props here. See these? Went too high on the camera speed. So we've got the trampoline. So I'm going to go ahead, F7, pause. Okay, this time it didn't open up the menu there because I didn't use the controller. So that's another one. The controller, it seems like the start pause button is tied to opening and closing the menu. So of course we got a trampoline here. We got to see what happens. Makes my controller vibrate. I forgot about that. And I mean, it's not as bouncy as I was expecting, but it is bouncy all right. That does work. We also got this ball in here. So you actually get put inside of it. This one is filled with helium. So if I go ahead and hit insert, but I need to put the vehicle back in. You can actually kind of be like a hamster at a ball. Drive it around a little bit. Who remembers the days of being able to zoom out near infinitely when you're in third-person car mode? And it looks looks like we're able to kind of get through the ball into the main ground as well. We could see a little mark there that was left. But yeah, we could do the ball. That is filled with helium. It's not quite working as much as I would like it to, but it just requires some more playing around, right? They also remastered several props. This is one of my classics that I love, is the hamster wheel. So we can go ahead and throw the Miramar in here as well. And I don't know why insert put me here. Apologies for all the weird camera work. That's oopsie doopsie. But that's okay, we'll go here. And of course, it broke the drive shaft. I just want to put the vehicle in here. That's all I wanted to do. There we go. And it is moving, but it feels like it's got a lot more weight to it. So it's definitely going to take a little bit more to get it running, but now it's actually wooden as well. You can get motorized variants. You can also just get just the barrel. So we have that. And let's kind of do a little bit of a fun thing. So ahead of here, I have a spike strip set up. And I want to see like how this actually affects the driving here. Already start noticing it. Yep. The tires have gone flat. So yeah, the tires don't immediately lose traction. It actually takes them a good little bit. Let's remove current. And we'll take this guy on over there. We'll just do that to close it real quick. And this is the other kind here. Yep, see, hitting on my controller brings up the menu. And you can actually hear when tires are on the ground or not from when they're punctured. That's pretty cool. You can see we're losing speed. Our tires have already gone flat. There they are. We're just like not able to keep moving. So it does work pretty good. It does stop. Let's go ahead, pop back on over to the notes. We can kind of read through as well. So they got the spike strip as a new prop, 4 different types. And all of them, of course, pop the tires. And, you know, we got the scissor type, which is the one that I just ran over. We have also the Flex R, which is in a box and deploys. It's also scissor type. The edge is a 40 or 90 centimeter spike, and it is placed under the tires of the vehicle to prevent it from escaping. It also comes in chained packs for throwing under the tires of fleeing vehicles. They have the Edge R variant, so that is capable of launching 4-meter edge spike strip. And let's see, we have the pressure ball. That's what I took a look at there. The large hamster ball for vehicle filled with pressurized gas. You can select the gas type, its mass, and in turn the buoyancy, so you could try to make things float. In the tuning menu, you can adjust that stuff. Yes, more size and pressure in relation to weight makes the ball float on water and eventually in air when it gets lighter than air. So at least for the sake of crossing water, you could do that. Also included is a standard configuration with air and a larger variant for multiple vehicles. The barrel is also colorable and has 3 different surface designs. The trampoline has adjustable mat size, frame height, a ramp slot, so that way you can use a ramp to get on it, an optional ridge mat for more predictable bounces, anchors to fix it in the world so that way it doesn't move and it can only be moved and used in the world editor. Adjustable spring strength, so we can actually tune how bouncy it is, how much weight it can take before the springs break, and the rate, of course, as well. They have the anti-cut device, so I didn't show that. It's basically a concrete pillar with a pole on top. And that is primarily used for the rally stages. I would like to see like tires around it though, because that could really hurt. We also have a trash bin for a new prop, so you know the ambitious street cleaner can actually pick up trash cans. Like that's going to be awesome. And it can do it as a standalone prop. So it's not the trash can that comes with the street cleaner. It is in a standalone. They also remastered the large spinner with 3D model, materials, textures redone. Various parts are colorable. They reworked the control scheme. It's also now powerable by an industrial electric motor with realistic performance. So it has lower acceleration but better inertia. You can also change the final drive ratios to balance acceleration and top speed. There's increased physics realism, adding more weight to the and added more weight and made the metal blocks deformable. That's awesome. Added ability to fill metal blocks with different substances, increasing their weight and strength. They have a 2-arm variant with an option to attach tow hitches for vehicles' trailers to destroy vehicles through centrifugal force. So that's something we've seen. I think that was the first teaser for this, maybe the second. I'm trying to recall and I can't exactly. They also have a smaller variant with 2 arms, 4 arms, the flails, which is how you can attach cars to it. They have a mobile variant that can be attached to a semi-truck like a trailer. So you could drive this around and just destroy things around you. Different cars, traffic, stuff like that you could do. They also have a large variety of other configurations, showcasing all the different parts and options and abilities. The large roller has also been redesigned. And my apologies, I needed a drink of water. And mechanically redesigned it in order to make it look like something that could actually function in real life, which it does. They reworked the 3D model, materials, textures, updated physics to match new model. They put in a new control scheme, allowing it for adjustable roller height and speed. A hamster wheel, as we've seen there, you know, completely redone, more realistic weight of the behavior with the weight, inertia, air drag, friction, geometry. It can also be powered by the same industrial motor as the spinner, attached to a truck wheel rubbing against the barrel. They have 3 configurations: powered, unpowered, and barrel only. One thing that we can probably do as well, let's pop over here. We're going to go ahead and grab a D series. And what I'm trying to see in here is where would be like the best one to use? I mean, could do this Super Pig. Let's go ahead and spawn new. And what I imagine we could do is if I were to position this correctly. Oh, I have 0% strength. I was like, what broke? No, nothing broke. Okay, we're going to shut it off for the moment. Go into free cam, and we can go ahead and pull the vehicle. There we go. So now that's hung there, so it's going to hold it there better. We could actually use a more powerful motor this way. Of course, we got to worry about our oil kind of a situation, but we can actually get our speed up. Yeah, that's a pretty cool little thing we can do too. Okay, back to the notes. The large cannon got a complete rebuild. The metal ramp got a complete rebuild. Rally signs, they added new pool board variants. So all of these different little 1, 2, and 3 things here. They added a new tire variant, so it has pole inside of the 4 tires. That's kind of what I was hoping to see, you know, more for don't cut this corner kind of a thing. They fixed an instability when dropping lots of small rocks from the sky into a pile. And they added top couplers, allowing containers to be attached to the trailer upside down. So the container can be put in upside down. I guess you wouldn't really want to do that, but you can do that now, which is awesome. They fixed a mismatched grip between the front and rear 225/50 R15 sport tires. I always thought it felt a little bit weird. They also changed the tire tuning for the drift tires, the 225/45/17 trailers. They fixed various issues of a small tanker trailer side box. Common issue in several trailers with front marker lights would not brake properly. They finalized triggers to triggers 2 conversion on all trailers. And the wheels, they split the massive wheel DAE mesh file into smaller mesh DAEs. So if done correctly, which it doesn't tell, of course, this could mean that when you load a vehicle, instead of having to load the whole file, it can find the one specific that has it and actually load things a lot quicker. That's a lot of help. Johnson Valley, they added a horizon cloud layer. So there's another cloud layer in there for distant horizon clouds type of a deal. West Coast, they updated far background foliage billboards. So what I am thinking that means is all these trees on the hill. It's kind of confusing to me a little bit. I think that's what they mean. Let's see. I'm going to take a look myself here. I think that's what they're talking about because it looks pretty good there. Okay. In general, they fixed errors in meshes, material paths and formats, terrain holes, collision meshes, AI pathing, which I would say they improved AI pathing. I will never say it's fixed until I actually see it fixed. The wrong jungle rock island and small island preview image resolutions, so those should be a little bit more appropriate, it seems like. And we got foliage library. They updated the cypress and palm trees models and libraries and deals. Up next, we got this new free roam crawl system. So part of the reason I got the truck here is to see if West Coast has anything like that. Probably not, but maybe. Nope, that's not it. What I'm wondering about, free roam activities, yeah, they only have the one there. Okay. So probably something I would check out on a different map. I was hoping to kind of take a look, but if we gotta go to a different map, I might make that a separate little deal. Let's remove others and turn this off. Okay. So you can start crawl trail experiences directly in free roam. You don't need to mission load, nothing like that. It just shows up and it goes. To drive to a trailhead, you press the on-screen button to enable a trail. Preview path is shown and you go. You know, there's small flags that mark the boundaries and checkpoints to help guide you. Scoring rewards for clean drivings. Penalties applied for reversing, rollovers, vehicle damage, and leaving the trail bound. So they're pretty strict on that, to be honest. Efficient finish message displays your score, damage, and completion time. Some trails end where other trails start, enabling chain runs. So you can go trail to trail to trail. They added 26 of them in Johnson Valley and 7 in Utah. So definitely going to be checking those out in a separate video for Johnson Valley. Maybe poke Utah a little bit. We'll see. They added a variable to set G-force limit for arrival missions. This can be set and edited in the mission editor. So that's probably something I need to look at for... one of the mission things that I was working on, I kind of stopped because I was having an issue and I wasn't sure how to fix it, and nothing I could do fixed it. Nothing I could do. Essentially, it would break the game. And that was partially because I was using Flowgraph to make it, but this was needed for the type of mission that I was doing. Anyway, they also improved the recover position search to prevent clipping into larger props. and fix an issue with recovering an attached trailer if the trailer doesn't have a trailer tag attached to it. So mainly with modded vehicles, you would get like a modded trailer and it would put the trailer inside of something because it didn't think about the trailer being there. Now it should. Here we got with the user interface overhauled vehicle selector, so we can see all of that good stuff over here, like so. And they optimize back end, front end performance in mind. Old vehicle selector would often suffer from decreased performance, so this is supposed to be more responsive and more performant. And they have a UI feedback thread, so if you still have any issues, anything to mention like that, feedback, you can do that. Link is in the actual thread here. Top level shows vehicle models. Click a vehicle model to view its configurations. Click a configuration to view the details. Kind of same stuff you've always done. Vehicle management lets you clone, remove, all that kind of standard stuff that we were always able to do. This also addresses previously unusable functionality. Search previously worked only by name. Now it searches for any property of the vehicle. So 600. And we got the Miramar here showing the Plucky 1600, which is in that. But we have the box utility trailer because it's got a 600 kilogram crate within the configuration in there. The container trailer, 600 in there. You know, I can go ahead and probably put... No, it won't let me put horsepower. Okay, so it doesn't quite search like that. But, you know, it should be better. Let's go pop back on over to the screen here now that we've gotten a chance to kind of take a look there. We have, let's see, files are better organized, printed under the brief, commonly used filters list by default. Search and filter now also apply when viewing configurations. Filters no longer reset when going back to the model view. Detail views for configs now shows data in a more easily digestible way. Titles now show all the sources of a vehicle, so if it's BeamNG official, automation, mods, custom, stuff like that. Let's see, and it can be used with the controller, they say. I'm trying to figure out how I can... I'm navigating it with the controller. Okay, there we go. So that does fully work. Good, good. Let's see. They improved and modernized the styling and faster loading. Items are listed by groups, so you know you get recent, you get your cars and trucks, you get your trailers, you get your props. This can also be helpful because if you have a lot of modded vehicles, it would be nice if there was a list of, like, you could make your own custom little deals. So you could do your favorite vehicles, you could do, you know, these are my modded vehicles. You could do things like that. That would be pretty cool too. They are also sorted automatically by name or value, but there's custom sorting options. So you can sort by weight, power, all that kind of stuff. Customizable tile sizing for the vehicle grid. That I was curious. It's probably in the display options. Yeah, display size medium. I'm going to go back to large. The only reason is because then that way you guys can see it a little bit easier. I didn't even know that was like that. Let's see. Recent and favorite vehicles appear at the top. Yep. Detail view now shows the corresponding mod for a config, so that way you know which mod it comes from. This will help a lot when you have different parts and stuff with different mods and you're trying to figure out where did this come from again. The detail view, let's see. Nope. Next one, they also implemented advanced functionality, inclusion of standalone PC files or auxiliary content, useful for modding. Toggle display of dev info in the detail views, expanded configs, which will unwrap a model if it displays a number of configs less than the value of the setting. Recent and favorite tiles can be set as well. The top menu bar has been changed, so yeah, that's definitely interesting. Top menu bar implementation, it has been converted to view, like I said. and route-based configuration and improved navigation between UI sections, revised continue and back button behavior as well. So when you hit continue, it just goes direct to gameplay. You don't have to worry about backing out, and then you're in the game. You could just hit continue and you're in the game. Otherwise, back will allow you to back up 1 if you need to, or 2, or however many until you do back out to the game. They rewrote the UI timing backend for more consistent refresh rate, lower UI lag, so that should be a lot better feely. The refresh rate may be higher in some cases, which depends on the use of frame limiters, UI workload. So it may feel smoother than before in that sense as well, they say. Timing fallback, so if it misbehaves because of some unoptimized app or other element, the backend will recover more gracefully than before, attempting to maintain a minimal update of 10 Hz as a safety fallback. They reduced UI lag by optimizing the amount of workload requested to the user interface down to more manageable levels without compromising the final perceived refresh rate. As far as UI apps, they have a new mini-map app, so it uses the SDF rendering technology, makes it significantly faster and smoother. To add the mini-map, of course, we know how to do that. We have to go into the UI apps, add app, and then we're going to find mini-map. And I don't think as far as look too much has changed. It looks like it is a little bit different. Let's go ahead and pop back over to Beam so I can show you guys. I have it on screen here. And if I unpause and we go back, we can see we could just hit back to gameplay and we're back in there. So it is a lot smoother. Ooh, that's nice. Because like before, you could kind of feel a little bit of like almost jelliness in it. It was a little bit behind always. Now it actually feels right. It draws the roads in 3 colors, we can see, which depends on the drivability. And do they say in here how that is? If the map has no roads, it draws a grid instead. Okay, good to know. It draws your current vehicle, any other usable vehicle components in the race. It draws the walking mode character and free camera marker when walking using the free cam. So we can see our player character now on there. And we got mission markers that show up on there. When being chased by the police, the whole thing flashes red and blue like it usually did, I believe. Police cars chasing you are drawn red and blue as well. Displays mission markers, race checkpoints, free roam drifting areas. All of the points of interest are displayed as a generic dot, though. It displays the current route on the minimap and shows the remaining distance below it. So if I had a route set, we can actually finally see how far do we actually need to go. So if I just want to go, not to the other side, but just to the side up there. Now we know we've got 1.1 miles. So that's pretty nice. Sure, location name, we can see that up at the top as well. So let's see, menu settings, minimap related settings. We could do a shape, orientation, drawing grid, and look ahead. So if in this case we can see we are not fully centered, it kind of helps us to see ahead of us a little bit more on the map that way. You can change that. And the SDF technology is also new to the game, so they say it may experience issues if this tries to draw over other UI, so I would definitely pay attention and try to keep it off of other things, just for the sake of making sure you don't have anything bad happening. They also added a new ABS and TCS indicator with the Pedals UI app, so they will flash green and red depending on which one is active. So kind of show us who's using ABS the most, which will be me. But of course I use a controller, so I have a very limited amount of controllability with that. So that's why I do. Not always though. Let's see, they also implemented a new multi-app approach for the HUD. The TLDRs are looking forward to avoid UI layout switching in the future, whereas is possible. They have had a constant problem with switching between UI apps being slow and not keeping the user's adjustments. The slow part, definitely. Maybe one thing that I could suggest for an improvement to that aspect would be, at least temporarily, keeping them enabled but like hidden and allowing that as an option. So say this mini map that I have up, and we'll go back here, does not want to, I do not want up when I'm racing, but I want it here. All that needs to be done is hidden. Just toggle the whole thing hidden, and then it can be reshown afterwards. And this could be an option in the options menu. I think that would be something, for all of the UI apps that change. That way they're still there, loaded and active, just hidden. Because, of course, there could be a little bit of performance hit with that. So if you have a lower-end computer, you wouldn't want that enabled. Let's see, the new changes include new gameplay apps container that wraps points bar and all of that kind of stuff into that. So let's see that, yeah, all view-based apps are components by their nature, which means you'll still be able to add to your layouts for better customization. If you add the app to free roam, it should work just as well as the separate standalones. So it looks like it adds several different things with this one that they have there. They've implemented several optimizations for UI apps. Of course, we went through that. They kind of mentioned that. Unoptimized UI apps. Initially, this lag was not perceivable, but over time, this lag has accumulated into dozens of seconds. Changes below aimed at solving the worst offenders among the official UI apps. However, this issue can happen with modded apps that have not been optimized. So they're kind of investigating doing things like that. Much less DOM nodes creation, it looks like. I mean, we're getting into some pretty technical stuff with that kind of talk. No longer an inevitable base workload of information being sent from the game engine to the user interface. All official UI apps now request the exact same streams of information they require. So there's no superfluous... I'm not great with that word, I'll be honest. Information and data that's being sent. So if I had two different speed information things, before it would grab two different streams of data for it, basically making it work twice as hard. Now it'll just listen to the same one. So definitely will help to kind of clean that up there. Let's see, they added a new app, the binding hint. So that's kind of where this thing is, and I enjoy it because I can click on it and it'll do something for me. Oh, I can toggle map by clicking on it. But we have been treated for so long with having... That's weird, my RGB on my microphone turned on. Having that up in a different location. So this is immediately going to change for me, because that's usually where that all is. And I feel like that should just stay up there. I think that's fine. So yeah, you can click on things, triggers, all the bindable stuff, key binds and stuff show on there, so you can see everything you need to see. I do wish this had a better hide to it. Maybe after, a set time that we could set. Improvements for vehicle paint and vehicle configuration. We went through some of that stuff, the kind of doubling on that. Opening the main menu in a level now pauses the game, which is nice. Except for vehicle config and environment tabs. They added a small wrong direction warning. Okay, is that for emissions or not? It says for vehicle paints and vehicle configurations. And then they go down here. Not quite clear what that is supposed to be for. Fixed incorrect thumbnail image type after saving a config. Improved layout and styling for mods, manager, and repository. Added new options to limit the width of content for ultra-wide displays. If you have an ultra-wide display, then you can keep your UI more into the center, or you can let it span the entire width. You can kind of customize that. New keyboard bindings for look, which is in the view components, using glyphs for common keys and modifiers. Binding systems, control service and input detections. They added an image pack, parameter support, and improved modifier binding parsing. So that's a lot to do with, you know, how they set up the new UI app there and allowing it to look and see and feel nice. They added options for toggling the navigation in the in-game markers. So if you didn't like the big floating arrow, you can get rid of that. If you only wanted the big floating arrow, you could do that. If you didn't want any of that whatsoever, you can get rid of it all. That is up to you now. They ported online features, consent, and privacy policy prompts to a view setup. So it's going to be a new UI and everything for all of that. And finally, we get down to career mode stuff, which really hasn't gotten a lot of anything, in my opinion. Just some generic fixes and improvements, nothing too wild. They improved vehicle selections for vehicle group by performance class feature. So the vehicle selections and stuff like that should work a little bit better. They simplifies the insurance system and the computer repair page. So now the insurance system is only insurance score, and it looks like the player doesn't have to buy specific insurance tiers anymore. Don't have to tweak insurance perks or worry about renewing the plan. It just is an insurance. I'm kind of mixed because I like to tweak my plan, because initially I would set it really low to help out with getting money up in the game, and then I would set it really high when I had money, so that way I pay more, that's fine, but then I worry less about the vehicle, the time that I have to wait and all that kind of stuff. So kind of mixed on all about that. The computer repair page has also been simplified to reflect the changes as well. When we did part shopping, engine would always be running, always be running, always be running. Now they fixed that, so it should stay off. If it's off, don't know if it's going to turn on or not, you know, kind of a thing. They fixed an issue also where the player was always billed for custom license plate when buying a vehicle, regardless of if you got one custom or not, it seems like. Now we get into missions. They added new missions with the remastered large spinner prop, and those 3 are here. They also added a new mission called Very Important Parking, and that is here with the limo. We'll go ahead and take a look in a separate video at a lot of the missions, different stuff like that. The platform jump one now has a trampoline, so you can bounce through the course that way. They updated Villa VIP as well, so the player vehicle has been changed to the limousine, sporting luxury trim. And now we can also ensure a very nice and smooth ride for the passengers, so don't drive too recklessly. Of course, that's kind of the goal of the mission, right? Input and force feedback. They got different modifiers we can do for any. You can now add up to 6 modifier buttons to any device to add your own modifiers, option controls, modifier section, all that good kind of stuff. They updated the layout. I mean, I get it, because like modifier 1 and 2 are the left and right triggers, but that's where you have to add in, you know, extra options after that. So I use a similar feature on my mouse. I tilt my scroll wheel to the right, and I can click, I think it's set at like 5 times per second, and it's just helpful for some different various things. Back when I played Minecraft was when I put that in. Man, I've had that forever. I've had the mouse forever. But yeah, we got wheel slip vibration, and now influenced by the ground model. So sliding on ice will vibrate less than sliding on asphalt. They improved the accuracy with driving over small bumps, and the overall strength has been increased. Improved naming of binding that changes camera speed, and the bindings related to recovery system. They implemented support for the glowing brake discs and drums. We kind of went over that already. Tire punctures we went through. The spike strips are now supported in that sense. Automatic gearbox behavior has apparently been improved. Extended automatic transmissions 1/2 support up to 9. Half support up to 9. Fixed arcade behavior not respecting limits of half. Oh, okay. First and second gear kind of deal modes. Added support for defining an H-shifter pattern lookup in JBeam. So now we can get modded transmissions where left and down would be first, you know, or straight down would be first, you know, different things like that. So the H-shifter patterns could kind of change. You could make a modded thing to where it's backwards, you know, where sixth gear would be first, and then you go to fifth to go to second. You could do it that way. They added support for generic closed-loop linear hydraulics controls, all kinds of other goodies. We kind of take a look through that, but the big thing here is vehicle and AI traffic. So traffic will now spawn the appropriate vehicles for the map's region. And there's a slight improvement to traffic behavior when driving emergency vehicles. So before they kind of like run into each other and stuff because they're all just trying to stop and move and all that kind of weirdness, right? Okay, let's try this again. I completely messed that up. So I went through it all, and I was kind of impressed because it seems like the AI are trying a little bit better to get out of the way as well, at least in one way. Go ahead and just get some speed going here. They all are moving over pretty far to the right this time, at least here on the highway. But if I'm on the right side, they don't move to the left. So we're at least making some progress. There's a little bit of something better there. Let's head back on over here. And back over here. Okay. Traffic signal detection has been adjusted, simplified. So false cases were resolved. They fixed an issue when adding more vehicles to existing traffic was causing some internal states to break. A tiny change was made to the police vehicle checker in hopes of improving validity. Now we're getting into even more deep technical diving stuff. So static collision subsystem has, for Johnson Valley and West Coast, been reduced, and massively for Johnson Valley, a good little bit for West Coast. So this will be a big deal to performance improvement, especially on the lower end computers. If you were right on the line with your RAM, that'll definitely help a lot. The vehicle livery editor now has been edited to be compatible with vehicles that have paint design slots outside of the main part. Flow graph editor, they had added new nodes, vehicle group by performance class, gravity force, they optimized other various nodes. VR, they have added occlusion mask, so there was a mask on the render texture for pixels that are not visible to reduce wasted performance and reduce reflections on some headsets. Automatically used, it's supported by the runtime, so the way it sounds is it would draw the whole scene and then, you know, waste your performance that way. Now it's going to draw what you see a little bit better. They added a quad projection toggle, so due to limited availability and runtime differences with custom implementation, needs to be manually enabled in the OpenXR debug menu. They improved comfort by automatically disabling inertia strength in the driver camera. So that was kind of a thing of like, if you were one of those that played with a lot of inertia strength and then you went and tried out VR, oh man, I feel bad for you because you get sick so fast if you couldn't handle it. The launcher, they simplified the clear cache option, so it just does it. Which is both a good and a bad thing, because I like to be able to deep dive into all of that, so it really didn't happen. So, I mean, I don't really like it, but I get it. Maybe an advanced cache button and standard clear cache buttons. I don't know. I'm kind of mixed, to be honest, on that. The verify integrity tool will now place unknown files into dedicated external backup folders instead of leaving them inside the current versions folder. Implemented several minor improvements for the backups manager menu. They fixed broken user folder migration for those who have been using a version older than 0.21. and are now trying our latest version. Fixed an issue with the dependency scanner, so it ignored the binaries, architecture, API sets, stuff like that. So it should be looking good. Replay. They had added support for material emissivity. Emissivity? Emissivity. I don't know how you would say that way. I'm not great at speaking that word apparently either. This means, though, that replays can support dimming, headlight transitions, brake glows, similar effects, so they're getting some progress in that. When it comes to sirens, though, and horns, I would like to see that. And really, an easy, simple fix for the start is to just log that key press for horn and the churning on and off for that, and just have that as a standard toggle that way as well. I feel like that would be a way to do it, but I'm not sure. Here we got a whole bunch of world editor stuff. If you guys do want to kind of take a look through this, feel free to pause or take a look through in the actual log there. There is a lot of stuff also for modding. You guys can kind of take a look through if you wish on your own there. As well as some stuff for the game engine. So they say here that all assets shared by maps have now been centralized under the new assets folder, eliminating duplicates, outdated resources, stuff that's hard to find. So this should make map making a little bit easier if, say, I wanted to use this West Coast texture. I believe they say 80% of them were migrated. Statics and the rest of the textures will be moved in a future release. So maybe not the highway. I'm not sure. Yeah, it's all good though. Eventually we'll be able to just look at assets, period. We don't have to worry about them being hidden or at a different location and stuff like that. End goal, of course, reducing the game's total size, increasing asset management efficiency, organization. They did a whole bunch of stuff for Linux as well right there, so if you need to take a look, you can. The broken beam visualization did not report broken beams, so that's been fixed. Lua API, they improved a couple of things in there. And miscellaneous, they changed the IMG UI bridge implementation for improving security. So yeah, that's pretty much everything here within the updates, which of course it is pretty good. A good amount of stuff. I'm wondering if that thing where there was like that toggled ABS thing will actually help with the weirdness of the ABS soft locking. So if I was on dirt and the ABS hit, it wouldn't always re-trigger when I went to asphalt, and I would be stuck with ABS going off, but I'm not actually locking up the tires at all. And by that I mean, like, usually you get that kind of chirping and stuff because the ABS hits the brakes, or lets the brakes go down until it squeals a second, pulls them back, that kind of a thing. Wouldn't happen, so I'd get a soft lock sometimes that way. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely some stuff to play around and take some time with. But guys, I do think that's going to be it for this. I know it's a little bit of a longer deal, but it is a deep dive on in. So if you enjoyed, go ahead and hit the like button. If you want more BeamNG content, subscribe. Otherwise, if you have any other thoughts, opinions, topics, suggestions, comments, things you want to talk about, go ahead and drop them down in the comments below. But that'll be it for today's episode or video or thing. Take care. Bye-bye.